Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Babylon 5 for the first time. I'm John Brent, a Chuckle Nugget.
I'm just Jeff Akin.
Wait,
yeah.
There we go. So for me to point at you, I'm literally pointing at like a 45-degree angle away from my face.
Really?
Yeah.
So I get to point straight, but I'm pointing away from you to point at you. It's the magic of cameras.
Yeah. I get that. I get that. Hey, YouTube, what's up? We are here to record our latest episode. Where are you? Where's my camera? You're right there.
We're
here to record our latest episode. Do what now?
Your camera one. Camera one.
No, we're gonna need the one with the red light. Latest episode. This is Babylon Squared. We're here to watch Babylon Squared. Jeff has watched it for the first time. I've watched it for the first time.
Did you watch the reaction video? Brent's reaction video?
Yeah.
If you haven't, then keep watching this one. You can finish, but then go back and watch it. It's great.
It was fun.
I love your reaction videos, by the way.
Do you?
Yeah, those are great.
It's kind of weird because so I'm an old fogey, right? Like, let's just say I'm just old.
You're saying that I'm older than you, but that's fine. Right. I don't take it that way.
I didn't say it. You threw it out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, like watching other people watch stuff doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But the folks out there, you guys have loved it. The way you guys have responded, the way you guys go through it with me. So if that's what you guys like, I'm glad to do it. Like, it's kind of fun to make it. I don't know that I want to watch it, but it's kind of fun to make it, you know?
I think you have fun. I think it's more than kind of fun, Brent. Like, you're having a good time. It
changes how you watch the episode. Because like if you're watching the episode without the reaction, like if I'm just sitting on my couch watching it, like I could do this the whole episode. But I'm having a great time watching the episode. But still, but when you're doing a reaction, like you actually have to react, you know?
I feel like podcasting changed that for me. Like I used to be able to just kind of watch a show, but now like I find myself, sometimes I watch here on my computer, sometimes I'm on TV watching it, and I'll just like a thing will happen. And then it's like, that's so good. Oh my God, there's nobody else here. No, it's fine. I'm fine.
That's why you should do the reaction videos, Jeff, because there is somebody else there.
No, we're coming up on season 2 here pretty soon. So anything could happen. And we'll talk about that, right?
You're not taking over my reaction videos. You want to do your own? That's fine. I don't care. But you know, as we've often said, it's really a division of labor here at Babylon 5. We got some surprises in store for you guys out there. For you guys looking out here at YouTube, Jeff, do I still have the red thing on my face?
You do a little. It's a lot better. It's like he was beating himself up. Yeah.
So I have to shout this out because you guys are gonna be staring at it all day, being like, "What's up with Brent?" Jeff and I were talking, and like I was kind of messing around, I was joking, and like I took my head and I bashed it into the microphone here, and it left this like red spot on my forehead. So
it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Like, well, I didn't think it'd leave a mark. Like it didn't even hit it really hard. Like it just, you know.
That is galvanized steel. That microphone is 318 pounds of pent up violence just waiting to hit you across the face.
It is a heavy microphone. Yeah. Microphones aren't typically heavy. Like, how heavy is yours?
It's a good like 3 or 4 pounds. Actually, the SM7B is pretty heavy.
Yeah. So you have a 7B. I have the Rode Procaster.
Mm-hmm.
And this mic, it feels like it's like 5, 6, 7 pounds.
Oh wow,
like
really?
It's heavy. Yeah, it's really heavy. Anyway, that's why I always have to adjust it because it feels like it's
like.
Anyway, Jeff, we're 4 minutes in. We haven't even started talking about the episode, so we should do that because that's why people are here. Hey guys, like, subscribe, all that stuff. You know how to do it on YouTube. We don't have to tell you because you guys know. So go do that, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you know whenever we get a new episode, when highlight videos come out, or the reaction video comes out, or more main show episodes like this one come out. But Jeff, if you're ready to go,
let's figure out A squared plus B squared.
In the words of Captain Pike, hit it.
This is my first time.
First time.
Welcome to Babylon 5 for the first time, not a Star Trek podcast. My name is Jeff Akin, and I'm watching Babylon 5 for the first time.
And I'm John Brent, a Chuckle Nugget. And we did this last week. I can't do it again. Let's hear it. And I'm John Prey de Chuckle Nugget, and I'm also watching Babylon 5 for the first time. Jeff and I are two veteran Star Trek podcasters watching Babylon 5 for the first time. Neither one of us. This isn't one of those like somebody's seen every episode and the other guy's new. No. We're both new. That's how this works. And in doing so, we're taking that skill we've learned of overanalyzing and looking for messages, hope of the future type stuff. And we're trying to apply that to Babylon 5 because a lot of times people say that Star Trek just ripped off Babylon 5. Honestly, I think that's where the idea came from. So we're trying to see, did it really? And we're trying to decide if we should watch this one sooner, which I think generally every week is like, yeah, we should have watched this 30 years ago when it came out.
Yeah, there are definitely episodes that we shouldn't have watched sooner and probably will never watch again. But as a series, 100%. I think we
absolutely
probably should have watched this. But while we are Star Trek podcasters, this is not a Star Trek podcast. And so we've limited ourselves to just 3 Star Trek references apiece from right now to the point of the episode where we actually try to pull out and extract those kind of Star Trek-like meanings and stuff that come out of it.
Jeff, I'm just going to tell you, get your finger ready on the buzzer when I'm doing the recap, because I'm going to use all 3 in the recap.
That is very bold.
I promise you, they're all 3 going to go. And because now we count the recap as part of the deal, which fine, I'm going to use them all.
Well, I think I can see where a lot of them are going to be used. But Brent, some great news. We have a new 5-star review from Apple Podcasts.
Oh, yes.
This one's from @TheDavidWash on Twitter. He says, I have known Brent for a few years from another non-Trek podcast. He
buzzed himself.
He did buzz himself in the review.
That's great.
He says, I haven't watched
What's up, Wash? I'm sorry. What's up? Yeah, Wash and I go way back, man. He has followed me through actually several podcasts now.
Yeah.
So big shout out to Wash. He's a great guy. Man has some amazing collections.
Really?
Yes. Oh,
cool.
If you ever get a chance, if we can bring him on live, like his room, oh my gosh, it's good stuff. It's
that's
fun.
Cool.
That's
well, you can
nerd
go
heaven. Nerd heaven. He's so great.
It's a great place to be. You can follow him on Twitter @TheDavidWash. I'm sure he shares some of his stuff on there. But he says he hasn't watched Babylon 5 for several years. Currently, I'm rewatching each episode prior to listening to you guys. I've forgotten so much of this series. You bring up points I never thought of. It's like I'm watching for the first time. Definitely, you have to do Stargate after this series.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we haven't signed anything yet, but I want to watch. I want to watch Stargate.
It's so good.
And
we
here
have
in,
to, we have to go to faster pace than this, though.
I was going to say, there's a lot.
Stargate is twice as long as Babylon 5. And not nearly as it's a different animal altogether. Like it's not. Oh, it's so good. It's such a good show.
Well, stay tuned here to Babylon 5 for the first time, not a Star Trek podcast, to find out when we become Stargate. Except it'll only be my first time.
Yes. We'll go back to that other way.
Right.
Jeff, I got a surprise for you.
Okay.
All right. So this is episode 20.
20. Yeah, we're almost. We are literally like a stone's throw away from the end of the first season.
Right. So when we get to the end of the first season, I don't know if we've said this live on show, but you and I have tossed around an idea about doing like season 1 recap.
Mm-hmm.
Like just taking like a 1 week and just kind of doing a little bit of review of season 1 before we move on into season 2. That's a good place to take a break and to do something. How would you like to do a giveaway?
I'd love to do a giveaway, but what do we have to give away? Well,
I've got this little package here from our friend. Oh, look, I just put my address out there for everybody to see. From our, here we go on this backside, from our friend Wash.
Really?
Okay. This guy, from Wash. So I haven't opened it yet. I kind of tore it open so it wouldn't be like so hard to do it right here. So I want to unbox this, and I was thinking, and actually it was David's idea too, we could give this away on our recap show. What do you think?
Oh wow!
To one of our listeners out there.
Okay. Let's see what it is. I love this.
All right. Ugh. Why don't you tell them real quick and make up a way real fast for people to like be entered in or whatever to win this.
So I think, well, gosh, yeah. Okay, here we go. You want to be entered to win this amazing thing. I'm watching Brent. I'm watching John Prey as he's opening this. But if you want to be entered to win this, go to Apple Podcasts, leave a review, rating and a review. But here's the thing. Get that real close to the mic. There's some ASMR people out there that might be into it.
The people listening to the podcast version later are be like, what is going on with my ears?
Normalize.
There's some guy listening who's like mowing on a Saturday morning and like his lines just got all wiggly.
We're sorry, Mr. Landscaper out there doing your work. But no, so how does this sound? Go to Apple Podcasts, leave a review. But because it can take sometimes a little more than a week for a review to get to us, and if you're reviewing us from outside the United States, we might not get notified. Screenshot that review, and then you can send it to us. You can send it to us by tagging us on Twitter at Babylon First, or you can send it to our new email, babylon5first@gmail.com. It's Babylon, the number 5, the word first @gmail.com. And then, wow, it gives a 3 weeks, right? We
got 3 weeks away, yeah.
3 weeks for you to get those reviews in. Send us the screenshot either by Twitter or email. We'll do the drawing on the recap. And then what do we got to give away here?
Jeff, so this is super cool. There's a couple different pieces to this, just I'm sure because it had to ship. So here's this first piece.
That's one of the combat, like the hand talker things.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Oh, that I keep making fun of. Well, that's a lot smaller than I thought it would be.
Is it wildly uncomfortable and unwieldy? Because I can't imagine.
Well, because my hand is curved, like the natural human hand is curved, and this is like a flat, like which if you look at the ones on screen, like that's the way it is. And then there's this little piece right here. So this looks like he 3D printed it. Like he designed it and 3D printed it. So there's
it's the logo.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to get that to focus in on you for you guys.
It's the Babylon 5, the TV show. It's the logo from that. That looks so cool. It's on blue.
Okay, let's see. Oh, there's another hand communicator. There's 2 of those.
This is amazing.
There's 2 of those, and then this is the pièce de résistance. This. Oh wait. There's something else. Is this like a stand? I hope. Okay, yeah. This is like, so. Here's a little stand. Okay. And on that stand, you will put your very own Babylon 5 station.
No way.
Yeah, check it out.
That's unbelievable.
Look, there's even like the forky things, and there's the dome, the whatever dome, and the launch space, the solar arrays, I guess. This is dope. This is really cool, man.
Wash, that is way. Wow. Oh my God.
The detail in it's really neat too.
Yeah.
You know? So anyway, so you can what's the best way to do this? I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of hate that I'm giving this away now. Like, I kind of want to keep it.
Hey Jeff, scrub everything you just said about giveaway.
Right. Make sure we edit that out of the show. So anyway, we'll give this away on our recap show.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Jeff, I completely missed it. What do the people have to do to get? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put this right behind me right now.
Yeah.
So I can at least have it for a little bit. But what do the people have to do?
Go to Apple Podcasts, leave a rating and a review, screenshot that rating and review, send it to us by tagging us on Twitter at Babylon First, or sending that screenshot to our email, babylon5first@gmail.com. That's the number 5, the word first @gmail.com. And if you've already left us a rating or review, we don't want to leave you out. Screenshot the review you already gave us and send it to us. Screenshot it into Twitter or email. And anybody. We'll make that, I guess, drawing or whatever at the recap.
That's awesome. Wash, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
That is so cool.
Should double check and make sure I didn't forget anything miss something in there. Anyway, so that's cool. So that's what we're going to do. Jeff, I have no idea how you're going to edit that together for the audio people.
Hey, you know what? That's what I make the big bucks for, right?
There you go. There you go. Hey, listen, YouTube, we tell you guys all the time, you get the behind the scenes unedited version which includes all the outtakes, rabbit trails, and
you know what?
that
Actually,
sort of
YouTube. Now that we're talking to YouTube, like,
Yeah.
just okay, this is you and me. Okay, here's the thing. YouTube.
should I excuse myself? Like, do you guys
No,
need a
you're good.
moment?
You're good. You can hear us. I just want to like get right. Oh, this is a big deal. So, oh, here we go. It's you and me. I do a good chunk of work to make that audio thing sound good, but I want to know from you. I want you to go and listen to it, right? I'm going to encourage you to listen to it on good pods, but listen to it wherever you want. And then go down in the comments or somewhere. I want to know how different you think it is, right? Like, oh my God, the audio version's incredible. Now I have 2 shows I have to listen to every week. Or you're like, dude, why are you wasting your time? You should just be doing the YouTube thing. Or, wow, I don't have to look at your face. It's so great to just hear you. But yeah, go check it out. I'm super curious, like, what you think of the work I do over on the audio side. All right, Brent, you can come back in.
Is it safe now?
It's
you guys
safe.
good?
We're done talking about you.
You had a moment?
It was a nice moment. I always loved spending time with YouTube.
They're pretty cool, man. They're pretty cool.
All right, so now I'm going to come in. Now here's where we pick back up as if none of this ever happened, and that's the magic you're going to hear on the audio version. I put out an Instagram story a little while ago over on my Instagram at Jeff T. Akin, and it was just me editing. And I realized, like, people are like, oh my God, I want to be a podcaster. It's so much fun. And it is. It's the best thing ever. But it's like, do you know how much time you spend podcasting alone by yourself, just looking at stems and waveforms? Like, it's a lot of time.
The number of people that I see in like the podcasting groups are like, I just want to make the show. I don't want to actually do all the other stuff. Cause like this part of the show, this is like 20% of the overall work you do to actually produce a podcast.
Yeah. But I'll be honest, and this isn't just me like blowing smoke or whatever, but I love editing our podcast because I like listening to it.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a good show.
I
always say, Jeff, I've always said, this is not where you're coming back in. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I've always said, here's my free advice for people out there who want to do a podcast. Listen to what's out there in the space. Decide what kind of show you would want to listen to. If you're a listener, like what's not out there and what would you want to listen to, then go make that show.
Yeah, do that one.
Yeah.
And do it
so
great.
honestly, you should like your own show, like as a listener. And now I also recommend going back and listening to your show because it's like watching game film, you know, like as a football player, you know, you'd have to sit in game film study and watch what you did and the good, the bad, the ugly and all that. So re-listening to yourself is kind of like that, you know, especially in the early days, but yeah, it's good stuff.
Very good.
Where are we in the notes, Jeff? I don't even know where we are right now.
I am now going to say that I'm going to set you up for the recap.
Oh, cool. Recap time.
All right. Moment of silence. That makes my job easier. Yeah, so that's how you do it. Now, listen, back to the episode at hand. For those who have not watched in a long time, who are watching along with us, or who are just watching or listening along, Brent, can you let us know, remind us what Babylon Squared is all about?
Well, Sinclair and Garibaldi are having a little fun with a very sleepy Ivanova, who says she was awoken early due to a distress call in good old Sector 14. Wouldn't you know it? Alpha 7 and the camoed out Star Fury should be arriving right about now. Cut to Alpha 7. Something's flashing out there in the void of space. Is it? No, it can't be, but it is. And then suddenly he's flashy thinged himself, kind of like it seems like Sinclair was all those episodes ago. And while the exterior of his body is just fine, all of his internal organs have accelerated to become like a 90-year-old man's, and he just dies of natural causes. Well, that was weird. But we get a lot of talk all episode long about tachyons, and anyone who's ever watched an episode of Voyager will know that tachyons mean something to do with time and shifting and phase and all that sort of stuff. And Alpha 7 has somehow managed to etch into his metal dog tags. With what does he use to etch? I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Show never tells us. But what he etches are the letters and number B4. Nope. That's not Data's other brother that I'm talking about. That's Babylon 4. which was in, you guessed it, section 14 when it vanished. And that's when they receive a distress call from, no, it couldn't be. Could it? But it is. It's Babylon 4. And they're a little bit blippy, but Sinclair doesn't want to reveal that he's from Babylon 5, like 4 years into their future. Because after all, you wouldn't want any temporal agents on your tail, now would you? So it's time for Sinclair and Garibaldi to grab every ship they can muster and head out to Babylon 4 to try to rescue the people before it blips out entirely. Now, while they're traveling, let's take a moment and talk about another traveler, Delenn. She's been summoned to the Great Council chambers where she is warmly greeted as one of the 9 who's been missing. Time for mourning Dukat is over, and it's time to choose a new leader. And the Great Council, without even talking to her, has chosen Delenn. She's conflicted, probably because she doesn't understand the fact that leading is serving, but she wants to serve, not lead. She also feels in her gut that she has a different role to play in what's to come. So she declines the offer, and that leaves her future with the Great Council in jeopardy. But she thinks a lot of humans, and she's given a pretty neato Triforce looking thingy that we really still don't know what it does, but it looks awesome. I want one on my shelf. Okay, that was just about enough time for Sinclair and G-Man to arrive at Babylon 4. They land or dock or transport over or whatever it is that they do. And Sinclair says, to hell with the temporal accords. And he tells the major who's in command of the station everything. Then he goes to meet a caveman looking dude named Zathras. There you go. Who says he's from 2,500 years in their future. And he's talking about a great war that's still to come and how Babylon 4 is needed as a hope for peace to prevent the war or stop it or something, all that. Also, he's on a really big trip about meeting the one. No, not that one, his lifelong mate. No, not that one. The one who is jumping through time and is apparently in pain. Lots of words later, we see that one. He's in a blue hazmat suit. And Zathras quickly gives him a time stabilizer device, which will let him jump safely through time. Well, that doesn't make the major happy, so they try to take Zathras with them in their evacuation of Babylon 4. But a falling styrofoam pylon, which is sure enough to even break the hardiest Klingons back, falls on him and traps him right there on Babylon 4. So Sinclair and Garibaldi both having visions of different time periods, but there's no time for that anymore. They've got to get everybody off the station. So evacuate. And once they do, that dude in a blue suit shows up standing right over a Zathras like he's Michael J. Fox standing over his father in the past. And when he removes his helmet, it's a much older Sinclair with a pretty neat looking scar down his face. And the hand of Delenn tapping him on the shoulder, saying that they have to go. Jeff, what did you think of Babylon Squared?
I had a lot of fun with this episode. I enjoyed it. But there were 2 super different stories. Like, I think one of the things I liked about it, 2 very different stories that at the end come together like a couple millennia in the future. Right. It's like, oh yeah, they totally converge. Sorta, kinda, maybe in the future. I really thought Babylon 4, all of the previous Babylon stations, that's been kind of built up, for a long time. What is what's going on? I'm pretty darn satisfied with what I heard the story of Babylon 4 was.
Right. We still don't know 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Like, didn't they?
They blew up.
Like, they blew up. Like, they actually got destroyed. Babylon 4 just disappeared is what we heard, right?
Yeah.
And now we know what happened to it.
And I think that my question, much to some of what you put in there, is when is Crewman Daniels going to show up? Like, yeah, he's got to start putting Sinclair on the path to everything.
What if Sinclair is the Shadow Man? Whoa.
Well, he can't, he's Minbari, so we already have that.
It's true.
He can't be everything. But you know what he
No,
also might
can.
be?
He's Minbari. He can be everything.
He
That's
can.
the deal.
Like, apparently, I maybe what he is though is maybe the reason the Babylon 4 station kept phasing in and out of everything, and the reason that Sinclair had to wear that 2001 Space Odyssey looking suit was because they were actually trapped in a Tholian web, and he was kind of between the two. He was Kirk in the spacesuit.
I get it. I don't know. I still see Michael J. Fox, putting headphones on his dad while he's sleeping and just, I am Darth Vader.
Right. Totally. Yeah. You are the one. No. Ha ha. I'm bringing you Van Halen.
Right.
No, I thought this was a lot of fun. Like so many episodes in season 1, and this isn't like a bad thing, but it's also like, okay, so when does this stuff start happening? I like literally like I've got my notes in front of me and I just have circled question. So many more now at this point. I guess one of them, to kind of wrap up my thoughts and hand it over to you, but if Babylon 5 is the last best hope for peace, does that mean Babylon 4 is the first best hope? Or is it the last not best hope? Because apparently it's the station from which peace is going to be fought for. So,
yeah, I'm still not entirely clear. I don't know that they actually have the right station.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think they could be wrong on which one they have.
Wow.
And that it actually does have to come back to Babylon 5. I said last week, this is good TV. I mean, this is good TV.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, good TV doesn't always lend itself to taking a bunch of notes and doing a deep dive on everything that it does. There's a lot that happened in this episode, but there's also not a lot that happened in this episode. Like, in the end, they went out to Babylon 4 where it was, and they evacuated people. That's it.
Yeah.
That's really, and then we saw Sinclair take his mask off at the end. Old Sinclair. And then there's whatever happened with Delenn. Like, that's ultimately what it was. Like, you had scenes that, like, they're letting the people through 5x5. Like, okay, cool. And that's, I mean, it's all part of the show. Like, that's part of the story. But so I say that just saying I liked it. I am completely satisfied, like you, of the answer with Babylon 4. Here's what I found new that I didn't realize. I was under the impression that all the Babylon stations were built in the same place.
That's what I thought also.
Yeah. So we now know that that's not necessarily the case. And I want to know why and how did they pick where they are and all that sort of stuff. Because my theory was that something on the planet is what destroyed them, but not. But yeah, I love it. I love the reference to the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, that was great.
And I got it immediately. Like, I'm glad they explained it at the end of the episode, but like, I knew exactly what that was. I thought it was great. The most intriguing part of this whole episode, though, to me, is the Delenn piece.
Agreed.
Like, so she gave up her seat on the council. Maybe not. They've got to decide. Although, if I could just speak to it at this point, they get to the spot where, like, this may mean that you never get to come back to the council again. And they do their little voting thing. Like, half of them say no, half of them say yes. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to let you go, but we'll talk about what to do with you later. And I'm sitting there going, there's 9 of you. She is one of you. Shouldn't you guys just talk about it with her?
Yeah.
But then she's a part of the council right now.
Shouldn't they have talked about her being the leader with her also?
Oh, well, I don't know, leadership dude. Should you talk to a leader before you name that leader?
So there's a big difference between being a leader and being named a leader. And I think that, you're going to be a leader. That's what it is. But if you're going to be named one, you talk to the person. You don't just throw them up there. I mean, it very rarely works out well.
Right.
Do you think, though, I was really conflicted. Like, I was fascinated with Delenn's storyline in this one, but I was conflicted. I'm curious what you think. Do you think it was selfish of her to turn down the leadership role so that she could go keep playing ambassador?
No. And I'll tell you why. Because I think she truly believes that her place is on Babylon 5. Not that that's where she just wants to be, although I think she does want to be there. She feels like that's actually where she is supposed to be according to the prophecy and according to her own heart, and they're following this own heart. So no, I don't think that it was incredibly selfish of her to do it. I don't think that the council should just straight out reject her either. Like they said, "Hey, we want to make you the leader." Well, if you don't want to be the leader, then we're going to kick you out. Like, really?
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't make much sense to me. Here's my question about the whole thing, though. The last time we saw the Great Council, they all looked pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
And by that, I mean evil.
Right.
Bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this was not that, like, these guys didn't have glowing triangles in their foreheads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These guys didn't look like people who are conspiring to take over the world or the universe. You know, these look like balance keepers almost.
Well, and that's how they describe themselves, right? They live between the darkness and the light.
Yeah. So, you know, but like I said, the last time we saw them, which was in Sinclair's memory and the visions and stuff, and then the dude who creepy came out of Delenn's, bedroom.
The guy who lives in her closet. Yeah.
Right. It's like, if he finds out, we're gonna have to kill him. You know that, right? She's like, I know.
I think though the reason they looked like that was because that was the Grey Council in Sinclair's memory, and that was not a fun experience for him. So,
but not. I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm sorry to just interrupt because I thought about that, but that's why I brought up the dude who came out of Delenn's closet because he looked every bit as evil. Like he came out like,
yeah. And he had the triangle sticking on his head when he made that threat and everything. Yeah, I guess that is a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm gonna roll with you on that one, pal.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think so. I think that it is selfish of her to have made this call, and I understand why the council is at least debating whether she stays on the council or not, because it's one of those things that if you are I a couple years ago ran for our city commission here locally, and I'm involved in our city politics. And one of the kind of agreements when you get elected to the city council or city commission is you're up to be the council or commission president. And if something happens to the mayor, you're going to take that role. Like serving on the council or the commission kind of means you've agreed to the whole thing. So for her, they're confused because this is unprecedented. No one has ever said no to this before. So they don't know how to deal with it. So just automatically voting her in or out was pretty weird. But then them saying, "Hey, we're going to talk about this." Yeah, I get that. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, she should be a part of that conversation though, 100%. But I think that her saying, my heart says that I need to do this. I think that for her to just make the call, leave the council in the dust, leave the leadership role in the dust because she thinks that she feels she's the one that's going to lead him to the prophecy. That I agree with council guy who was like, they're going to think that's ego and pride. That's what I heard. Now, I happen to know at the end of the episode that I think it was her hand, that was grabbing Sinclair.
Yeah, absolutely. It was her hand, her voice, everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can assume that either she's right and she's part of the prophecy, or she's wildly wrong and things go horribly south because she made this decision. I think I could support her decision if they had a scene where she was like, I got to think about this. I got to talk to you about this. But she's just like, no, I'm going to make this call because I want what's best for me. And what we've learned about the Minbari, just like you said in your recap, leadership is serving. Minbari are all about serving. She's worried about what happens for her. She's me is what I heard from her. Yeah, I didn't like that.
I am with you on the idea that, frankly, there needs to be consensus. Like, rather than just straight up saying no, she needs to build her case because this is a council.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there really needs to be a vote. And if she's not sure, because I didn't catch that she immediately said no. Like she really did seem to struggle with it. And she said at one point, listen, I confess I would love to do this, but I just don't feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. Now they use this flowery language of in my heart and all of this, which you and I look at and go, look, you need to take this or you don't.
Yeah.
Like, well, just in my heart, I just, like, okay, look, your heart's not going to pay the bills, but in Minbari culture, it does. So
yeah. True. True.
But I did want to ask you about this because I know sometimes when you and I have talked about leadership before, we may be talking about two different things using the same words. And so sometimes things get a little bit crossed. For me, not all leaders serve, but the best leaders understand that leadership is service.
Okay.
I call it servant leadership, servanthood leadership, right? Like, your job as a leader in many ways is to help your people go from point A to point B. And how do you get there? And you set them up to go. You're the one who's removing their obstacles so they can go. You're making sure they have the resources so they can go do it, so they can make it happen. You're helping them, you're serving them by getting everybody to move in the right direction. That is the service. You're a custodian of that, not a pusher.
Right. Exactly.
All of that.
Yep.
Right. Do you understand that in the same way? Because it really struck me when she said, I'm not here to lead, I'm here to serve, or I'm here to serve. And I'm like, but that is serving.
Yep. And frankly, if you're on the Grey Council, you're leading, like you're doing both.
Right.
And I think that there's and I think when you talk about same thing, different words or vice versa, she's thinking about the position, right? So that's the job of a leader. What I know and what I think anybody who has been at any leadership level or really worked in a regular job knows, most of the time your real leaders, yeah, they're on the floor doing the real work. Like they don't have manager or director or VP as their title. Those people often are the barriers that the leaders doing the work are helping you figure out a way to work around. You have that concept of managing up that you've heard before that just infuriates me. But it's like when one of your peers says, oh yeah, man, Jeff, he's awful. Like you're going to have to give him this presentation. This is all he wants to hear. Just tell him this. Let me help you work around this obstacle so you can do your real work. Her take on it though, of I'm here to serve, not lead. Delenn has been my least favorite of the ambassadors. I think I've shared that a couple times, but let's be honest. She's competing with Londo and Jakar, right. and Kosh. I can't have him. I don't really. Where is the dude? Right. So this episode for me did not do her any favors, and that line was like the moment. And maybe that was painting my view of her being selfish when she's like, "Well, I'm not here that late." Yes, you are. Like you're literally doing it.
Yeah, it's I always try to be careful, and I feel like I should just say this. In no way, shape, or form do I think JMS is trying to deliver a leadership talk in the midst of his episode here. Like, I'm not going to hold that against him. It struck me, that line struck me funny, and apparently it did to you as well. So I'm glad to know we're at least on that same page.
Frankly, Senor Chuckle Nugget, I have created a job out of watching a show that was not written to show great leadership, and that's what I do, is pull the leadership out of it. So yeah, I can't not watch something like this and have Delenn.
Jeff, what's the name of that show? If anybody out there wants to go hear more of you talk about leadership through a show that wasn't supposed to be leadership.
Well, that would be the award-winning Starfleet Leadership Academy podcast. You can check that out. It's here on YouTube. It's wherever you're listening to this. It's right there too. Just pop over Starfleet Leadership Academy. Check it out.
Is that one a Star Trek podcast?
That is a Star Trek podcast. Is that a reference? I don't think it was a reference. No. That was just self-hype. That was self-promotion.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I was trying to help set you up over there. Anyway, so Delenn, so she says no, and she goes back because she thinks that her spot is better served over here. Now, I will say, I think it is very legitimate when somebody tries to thrust a mantle of leadership on you, and you go, because one of her things was, I'm going to be stuck in this chamber. If I accept that, I'm going to be stuck in this chamber. I'll never leave it again. But if I say no, then I may never get back into it either. But she's going, no, like, I love that you guys thought of me for this, but I actually, that's where I'm supposed to be. Like you guys are wrong. I think she needs to present that to her co-council members, and get them to see that and to come around to that, so that everybody's happy with her going back. But she just says no.
Yeah, because now they threatened her with becoming an outcast. And whether they allow her to stay in good graces or whatever, she has painted herself as an outcast. Because you're right, instead of making the case, instead of enrolling people in the idea of her being necessary to the prophecy and what's going on, she's like, well, I want to do this, and so I'm going to do this. It was all, it just came across completely selfish, in my opinion, selfish and self-directed.
Yeah. I would have appreciated this almost as an A plot, to have her actually like dig out where she should have gone, and where, like, what is this prophecy, and I know they're seeding this, and we're going to get into all of that later, but this one could have been an A plot of an episode to me.
Well, quick rewrite then. Here, there's a lot of stuff that happened in this episode we could just take out, right? Like, I don't need to see the evacuation piece like you brought up, and then the 16 times that Zathras just runs away in the middle of a station where he has nowhere to run to, and security literally just goes, huh? Oh, he's running. Maybe we could have lost all of that, and instead had 2 scenes added. One with Delenn talking to the guy who lives in her closet and just saying, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm feeling. And they could have seeded some of that prophecy stuff into there. And then talking to other council guy and having that same thing, where maybe it ends up in the same place, but instead maybe one of them is like, no, you're ruining tradition and everything. And the other one's like, oh, I see where you're coming from. But at least give us something, so it's not just Delenn saying, this is what I want to do and I'm going to go do it.
So Delenn gets a little Triforce thingy at the end.
Yeah, the
like he comes back and says, you may be expelled, you may not be, I don't really know, but here's this cool looking gift.
The Triluminary.
Yes. And there's 2 others. Don't worry. It's like, don't worry, we got 2 more. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm curious what it is. Like, there's something inside of it. I got that much out of it. And like, what is it? Because he said we've got 2 more.
That's what it looked like to me. It was like, it's a time turner. I don't think that's what it is, but yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious what that's going to turn into. Obviously, because he said they're not going to notice it's gone for a while, but they will notice. So, I mean, yeah, this was clearly a huge triangle-shaped seed being dropped for us.
There you go.
Yeah. But one thing I did like about them choosing her as the leader, and then even in my hope for, like, I want them to bring her back in or allow her to stay because of the same reason they chose for her to be the leader. They want her to be leader because she's the most well-traveled. She's faced the most diversity across she's intergalactically competent out there, and Minbari are into that, right? They're like, yeah,
she's almost like a being that the collective sent out into the wild to go experience stuff and to learn, and eventually to come back, and they can all learn by that one's experience, which I don't know if I've ever heard that storyline anywhere before, ever, from a character.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be at all in line with, I don't know, maybe say like a small piece of goo that was sent from a certain quadrant of the galaxy.
But see, here's the thing. Delenn is not a small piece of goo. She's a fully formed humanoid. And as far as we know, she can't change her shape. Although, did you notice? You remember a couple weeks ago, I was like, dude, Minbari ears are on their necks.
Yeah.
Like, they're so low. Did you notice her ears are not symmetrical?
No.
She has one that is like way lower than the other.
Really?
Yeah. and like her headpiece is like that too. Like it's got to be a person. I couldn't tell if the other ones were not symmetrical either, but like one is clearly lower than the other one. And there's a great shot and it sits on her face for like 5 seconds, just straight on, like, and I'm looking at him going,
huh. I'll have to watch for that.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of Zathras?
Well, we'll get to him right after this break. All right, Zathras. So
I did this.
Okay, for the people listening to the audio podcast, you have no idea what just happened. You actually, if Jeff hits the truncate silent, you won't even realize that there was like 10 seconds of silence right there. So what happened was I just threw up an overlay graphic of Babylon 5. Jeff, in the middle of this version on HBO, was there a commercial bumper overlay?
100%, just out of nowhere. It's like, this is going to happen.
They didn't edit it out. Like, I was like, what in the world? Okay.
Oh, wow. Oh my God. I don't remember what we're talking about.
Zathras.
Oh yeah.
I keep wanting to call him Xanthras. I don't know why I keep wanting to put the N in there. Zathras. Okay. So he's cool. He's obviously not human, but I mean, like, I really thought this guy was like reverted back to like caveman status, and obviously he's not. He's an alien who's trying to figure out how to speak our language.
Yep.
And apparently pretty intelligent. He can do timey-wimey stuff. I liked him. I thought he was kind of cool. I'm okay not seeing him in too many more episodes. Like, I would be okay seeing him like an episode or two per season, but I don't need him around all the time. But I liked him.
Yeah.
I'd get a stuffed animal of him, like a little Funko Pop.
Right. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. No, I liked him as well. It took me a little bit to warm up to him. I liked him, better on my second watch through. I was just trying to figure out what the heck, because he really reminded me of the character in the Neverending Story, right? So there's like the rock biter, and then the guy who rides the snail, and then there's the one who rides the bat, and then who's eating the little twigs, and just really reminded me of that character, just the way like the kind of noise, like mouth noises he made and stuff. But once I kind of got his rhythm down, I want to know more about this guy. Like, I'm really interested.
Where did he come from? How did he actually get there? What does he know? What does he not know? I mean, maybe he is Daniels.
You're right.
He's Babylon 5's version of Daniels. Like, he's just going to show up as the guy who jumps through time, trying to save and fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he die at the end?
I didn't quite.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
I'm gonna guess no. I think if he did die, like, they made him such a central part of what happened. I think if he had died, there wouldn't be a question for us, right? We would have been like, oh yeah, he totally died.
Right. Because I mean, old Sinclair showed up and saved him or something like that.
Yeah.
And Delen's like, we got to go, honey. We got to go. Do they become a thing?
So I was going to say, I want to start talking about that whole thing from the one and their whole thing. Because, like, blue suit guys there, and it's the one. Zathras, find the one and do things. Zathras will help the one. Zathras this, Zathras that. And then Sinclair goes to touch him, and it blows him halfway across the bay, which science fiction
when Sinclair went to touch Sinclair.
Yeah, well, to touch the so I don't know that that's Sinclair. That's so
okay.
And so okay, things that in support of it being Sinclair. We saw him, right? He
it
took
looks
off
like
the helmet. It was him. Looks just like him. We hear Delen right there. So there's obviously the relationship. Delen and Sinclair are somehow linked. But when Sinclair went to touch the one Sinclair, it blasted him across the bay, which science fiction has taught us. That's what happens when you touch a future or past version of yourself, right? It causes a big reaction of some kind. But when Sinclair first walked into the room to meet Zathras, Zathras looks at him and says, no, not the one. Not the one.
You're not in pain yet.
So my thing was, is Delen the one? And Sinclair, so Zathras grabs, you have a destiny, Sinclair. You have to go. And I think like the shining light is, well, Sinclair is clearly the one, so that's his destiny. I think his destiny is like somehow propping up or launching something for Delen, and maybe Delen is the one.
Interesting. That's an interesting take on it. I think what the episode was trying to tell us without physically telling us, which means they could actually change it later, or they could rewrite it or whatever, retcon it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the episode was trying to tell us Sinclair is the one, or at least lead us to believe that Sinclair is the one, that this is what's that dude's name? John Connor. Was that his name from Terminator?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, like, hey, he's meeting himself from the future who's sending him back to whatever, you know, and the guy from the future, he's older and he's hardened and he's got a scar on his face and battle commander and whatever, you know, he's that kind of a guy. That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
And then Delenn is there. You know, Delenn said she felt like she had a different role to play with the prophecy. And obviously, I mean, it can't not be Delenn. Like, it's got to be her, right? Yeah. So I think that's what they're trying to lead us to believe. Does it stay that way? Or does it change? It's certainly, you know, if they get down the road and, you know, I mean, cast members change sometime. Let's say that Michael O'Hare decides to leave the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
They could easily shift that to Delenn.
Yeah, either way right now. Yeah.
And that's a good point, Jeff. I didn't think about that at all.
Well, and as you were talking to it, made me wonder. So there was this. I didn't catch it until my second watch through, but at the end of the episode, when Sinclair in the spacesuit walks into the room that Delenn is in, so he's all in the spacesuit. The door is closed, and then there's a little line that says, "Time atmosphere is now safe to breathe." And he takes his helmet off and goes in. We just see Delenn's hand. My question would be then, what was she breathing if it wasn't safe to breathe? And did they not show her because she's going to somehow evolve, change so that she breathes some different atmosphere or some time thing? Like she becomes, no, we haven't really touched on time travel in this whole thing, but is that a thing she is going to like, that's part of the prophecy and she's going to somehow be able to start bending time? And she has some physical change because of that. And this was JMS specifically making sure, like, not to give that up.
What you make me think of here is, was it our last episode? Or the very last word of the episode was chrysalis.
Yeah.
You know, like is, and I think, you know, is that somehow tied to this? Is Delenn going to go into some sort of chrysalis, can become a butterfly or become she's going to go from Minbari to human,
or
something,
or
something like whatever.
Hubari, right? Like some sort of thing.
Right. I don't know. I mean, could be.
Yeah.
Okay. I mentioned it in the recap. I just want to throw it out there. Did you notice the Star Fury had camouflage on it?
I did.
Just like a little patch of it right on top, like a little camo spot. I was like, why is that on there?
So my thought was it's a total like in Battlestar Galactica, right? In the reboot, they kind of personalize up their Vipers a little bit. So you know, like when she said, was it Alpha 7 or whatever, I was like, oh, okay, so we're gonna start naming pilots now, like that's going to be a thing. And he's got a camo one, so I wonder if, I mean, obviously not Alpha 7 because he's now the Alpha 7000 and is dead, but if other ones, like we're going to start getting some personalities, you know, out of the Star Fury pilots, I think that would be cool.
All right, so Jeff, let's kind of wrap this in, because I don't think we can get out of here without rightly actually just reviewing the history of Babylon 5 that they revealed to us in this episode. So Babylon's 1, 2, and 3 all got destroyed. They started building Babylon 4, which was a green station, which does not look like Babylon 5. Like, I would have thought that all the stations kind of looked the same.
It looks different, and the impression I got is it was smaller than Babylon 5. Yeah.
Right. And it was in a different location. Okay, fine. I don't know why I'm hung up on that. I just am. So as soon as it became operational, and it said within 48 hours of it becoming operational, it somehow slipped into a time thing, right? It phased, it just blipped out. But right before then, Zathras appeared on the station. So something happened with the station. And what they're saying is that at some point in the future, maybe 2,500 years in the future, or maybe Zathras is just moving through time, whatever. There's a great war. Not the great war that was fought 10 years ago between the Earth Minbari and everybody, but there's another great war that could wipe out everybody. And okay, help me out. Somehow the Babylon station itself, specifically Babylon 4, is going to give them a place to come together and talk for peace, which is what Babylon 5 sounds like it's supposed to be, or what it is.
Yeah.
And so Zathras is in blue suit Sinclair and Handy Dylan, they're coming back to take the station, and blue suit Sinclair like threw the station out of the time loop just long enough to get everybody else off the station 4 years down the road. Like they unblipped. Like they're like Thanos came back and just let them come back to life. Like they unblipped. Like, well, is that what they're saying is happening? And then he just continued to take it.
I think there's one piece missing, and that was when he said to Delenn, I tried to warn them. I tried to tell them again, but they're not hearing me. Or I tried to tell them that, not to let this thing happen again. I don't remember him telling anybody anything.
Right. He said it happened exactly the way I remembered it happening before, or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really what it is. And so maybe it's one of those things of, one of the things we know about Sinclair is he's a good person. Like he cares about the people around him. So he's like, whatever it takes, let's get back to this time just so we can get the people off. Right. We need to take care of these people. Also, maybe I can do something, I don't know what that is, that'll set things on a different path. But he clearly wasn't successful.
Right. Do we think that this version of Sinclair, this future hardened, grizzled version, is a future version of this Sinclair in the timeline we're watching here? Like, is he going to become that, or is this like a different universe Sinclair, or like what is he?
Yeah, I don't know. And that's where I always go back to Zathras when he first saw Sinclair and said, you're not the one. And I can't let go of that. Like, sure looked like him, right? Sure sounded like him, but
so I look at that though, right? And like he sees Sinclair and like, oh, you look like the one, but then he goes, oh no, it's not you, or it's not you yet, or the one I'm looking for is the one of you that's in pain. Like,
yeah. I just caught that he's like, yeah, not you, like it's not you.
Yeah.
And I was just, I don't know. I thought that was interesting, I guess, but I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of where I think everything comes down. Is that's let's get it off so we can get this thing back. One, try to stop it from happening, and two, if we can't do that, go back and go fight for peace, which is a super ironic statement to say.
Right. All right, Jeff. I mean, here's my question.
Go.
I was gonna say, but before we get to the boiling it down piece, what questions do you have moving forward? I just heard you say you have a theory, so I want to hear this theory too. So whatever order you want to go in.
Yeah. And I think that so I've talked about my biggest question, which is just like, who was the one? Like, was it Sinclair, Delenn, somebody else? But I think the other one is tied to so there were two kind of flash forward, flashback scenes. One, score one for Jeff Akin here. Lise Hampton showed up again, right?
In a flashback.
A flashback. Look at that. Unfortunately, didn't do anything to move Garibaldi's character anywhere, except for like they took a second to show him like being, totally distracted. But I think they're going to do this Lise Hampton thing right. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah.
But in Sinclair's flash forward, that was pandemonium, right? Garibaldi, take some, and just blasting. But what I noticed on my rewatch was all of the Babylon 5 people, and I'm assuming this was on Babylon 5. I don't know that. I'm making the assumption, but all the Babylon 5 people were like randomly like spray shooting in the air. And then Garibaldi was just like, had this, big like
that had to have been so fun for the actor.
Totally.
That scene to like get up there and just have fun.
Like I'm sure like direction was just like, just yell, right? Just like go nuts.
Go crazy. Yeah.
But I think that they were shooting at invisible people. And we saw back in the War Prayer that Earth Force has developed individual cloaking technology, right? Where it has like the black light camouflage, I think it was called. I think Earth Force is going to attack Babylon 5. And that attack is the one that Lady Ladira saw in Signs and Portents that caused Babylon 5 to explode and get destroyed, which she also told us in there, it's one of many possible futures. So this is, here I go back to Dune, as I often do, right? But one of the things that Muad'Dib and Leto II, the God Emperor, knew was they saw every possible future. And they tried to steer things so that we ended up on a path that was good. This was a moment where Blue Suit Sinclair was like, I can go back and tell old Sinclair how to get off this. Because the path we're on now is the one Lady Ladira saw, where Babylon 5 blows up and all this stuff goes down. I need to go back and tell him something so he can get onto a different path. He failed. So Jeff believes that at this point, we're on a path for theory, Earth Force, to attack Babylon 5, and then for it to explode and that lead to some massive great war.
So the show Babylon 5, at some point, the station's going to blow up.
Well, I think the story will be
Babylon
them eventually.
4 is just hanging out in time somewhere and like, hey, now it showed up. Well,
I think it'll be one of those things they somehow are able to avert it and get it onto a different path or do a thing that they beat Earth Force or whatever and it doesn't blow up and then that changes all time. But
I was just gonna say, because like if they blip Babylon 4 back in to be the state, like it's kind of a station they're holding in reserve for when Babylon 5 blows up. Like, are they gonna write and get a special dispensation from
let me
Earth
stop
Force
you.
Command to change the name from Babylon 4 to Babylon 5?
Right. No, what was that? The sand and whatever it was called. And then all of a sudden, just one day they redid the paint and it was the Defiant. I'll take that one for you. That's a good one. Yeah.
Jeff, I'm pretty sure we're up to like 10 references between the two of us at this point.
I think that we just hit 5. I think I have one more.
No, I think we might be over, or that was your third one. I know I've used all mine.
Well, I know that you've skated pretty close on it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's okay. It's that kind of a
last
episode.
Bit of analysis we need to do really quickly. How absolutely amazing was that opening scene with Ivanova, Sinclair, and Garibaldi?
Oh, it was so good. It was like, that's the comedy that we need. Like, we need levity in this show. If I can criticize this show for something that it has not had a lot of, it's levity. Okay, watching Londo and Jakar go at it is hilarious, but it's also tainted with, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, they want to kill each other. Yeah.
You know, like Londo sitting there going, woohoo, like this is fun, but he's screwing with him in a not great way. You know, this particular one was just officers sitting around messing with each other that is not meant to be mean, you know?
Yeah.
And there's just a little bit of it's a breath that you get. And we just don't have that really in this show that much.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that changes or gets better as they go, or if this is just the show we've signed up for, that it's all serious all the time. Like, you know, Christopher Nolan takes on the Batman series and it's dark and gritty and there's no room for smiling ever.
Yeah.
You know, like,
but maybe what that does is just makes these moments like this stand out all the more and be that more special.
Right.
Because it was like every single beat of this scene was amazing and hilarious and perfect and just made me be like, I want to work with these people. Like, I want to be a part of that crew.
When Sinclair leans over and he's clearly trying to put Ivanova back to sleep.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've liked Sinclair more than I did in that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, there were two things there for me. One, that he studied and trained under Jesuits. Like, that's a big deal.
Was that true? I didn't feel like that was true. I felt like he was completely BSing that in the moment.
Yeah.
Do you think that was true?
Yeah. I actually feel like we've heard it before.
Really?
I do. Okay. I'm not sure, but I felt like, oh yeah, I feel like I should have known that.
Somebody's commenting right now on YouTube. They said it in this episode at this time mark.
Yeah, here's the timestamp. But yeah,
which is awesome. Great. If you guys know where that is and it's before this episode, so it's not a spoiler, please let us know, because I'd love to know if we missed it or not.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, that was great. And there's and then you breathe in, breathe out. breathe in. And she's great, right? Ivana would just kind of slow, like the whole, like you know everything that's going to happen and just plays out. Yeah, that was such a great scene.
Okay, but that scene also, they just have dirty dishes sitting on the bench next to them,
right?
Ready to change it out. Like,
well,
where
not
did
only
those
that,
things come from?
Not only that, but like she faded and they just made eye contact and did it. Like they were fully prepared. Like it's almost like they're like, one of these times she's going to show up and be tired. We can play. So
let's
prank
always have dirty dishes next to us so we can play this prank on her. Like,
yeah,
it's not like somebody was walking by with the tray and they turned around and grabbed it off the dude's tray. Like I'm saying, like, what was Garibaldi? Did he have a full meal before the others joined him? And he just set that stuff off to the side.
Did you see his plate? Like, so when when she went, and oh my God, I'm late, I'm going to go, and went off and they put their food back on. Did you see just the sheer horrifying amount of food he had on his plate? Yeah. I can put it down, right? Especially breakfast. Yeah. I love breakfast. And this thing was just massive. It was like, it's like he went to Denny's and he was like, yes.
The one I was noticing Ivanova's like fruit cup. They had strawberries and kiwi and different things. Like that's what I was noticing in there. So
in the episode with Benzane and Harriman Gray, when Harriman Gray comes to talk to her, she's eating a fruit cup thing there also. I hope
it's not the same fruit. Like literally the same fruit. Like
they're like, just keep it behind the bar. We'll just bring it out for another scene. Dust it off. It's probably fine.
So I have a couple questions coming up. Wait, did you give your theory?
I did.
Which was, remind me, I'm sorry.
That was that Earth Force is going to attack Babylon 5, which leads to the Lady Ladira prophecy.
I'm glad. Now, speaking of prophecy, I want to know what the prophecy is. That's a question. She talks about the prophecy is why they stopped attacking.
Is this the first time we've heard about the prophecy?
I think so. Like this is a furtherance of why they just pulled back all of a sudden. There was a prophecy that they realized was about this particular group of people. They had thoughts about what humanity would be, and then they changed their minds on what humanity could be. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. So I want to know what this prophecy is. Is it like in a little blue orb that we get to hear later? I don't know. I hope so. What is the change that is coming? Delenn referenced it, she's supposed to be there for the change that is coming. Is that the chrysalis thing? Is that where she evolves or something? Like maybe that's it. She wants to evolve.
Yeah.
She's tired of the little head thingy and the last airbender blue mark.
Right. I want to get out of the makeup chair every day. So I want to evolve and just have to put on a uniform.
She wants wings, Yeah.
Yeah.
But what is the change that is coming? I want to know what happens to Babylon 4 after so he stopped it just in time to get everybody off because they didn't need to go skipping through time. Like, so that's like somebody hijacking your ship and then like, hey, I'm going to stop and like let everybody off. I'm not abandoning them. I'm waiting for you to come so I can give them to you, but I'm still taking the station. Like,
yeah.
So what's he doing with that station? We'll keep an eye out for that. I'm sure we'll take a very long time to figure that one out. I want to know what the deal is with this Great War. Is it avoidable? Because I like you keep referencing that lady who did the prophecy earlier, who's like, this is only one of many.
Yeah.
So is the Great War avoidable? And then also, I think Sinclair coming in, what was he trying to tell them? And who is this they that is waiting for them? Because the hand said, Delenn said, they're waiting for us. Yeah. So who is they? Those are a lot of the questions I have. I don't really care if Delenn gets back in the Grey Council or not.
Yeah.
Like if she does, cool. If she doesn't, fine. I don't care. Like I'm glad to know what that is for her story, but I'm happy with it either way.
I think it's a fair way. Like I'm invested in the outcome, like I want her to be accepted back in personally, but also whatever, like the show's going to be fine one way or another.
Delenn will be fine either way.
Yeah.
Either way. All right, Jeff. Well, I think we've actually reached that part where it is time to boil it down. And you and I have been avoiding these words, and I'm sure we're both on the same track. But it is time to see. Oh, we're on the same track. It is time to see if the show has any of that Star Trek-y quality to it. Is there a deep moral message? Is it holding up a mirror to society? Is it giving us hope that humanity can be better in the future. And then we're going to rate this on a scale of 0 to 5 deltas. Jeff, how many deltas are you giving this episode, and what does it do for us?
First off, I really enjoyed this one. We've talked about that quite a bit. There's a lot of it that really stood out from just a high level of liking it. I think this, I'm starting to not appreciate some of the pacing choices in this show. I don't think they use their time very efficiently. And that just might be first season stuff, right? And figuring out things with the network. But I think it hurt part of this show could have been better. This episode could have been better. But I really enjoyed it. The Star Trek message stuff for me comes from the Minbari and from Delenn, right? Delenn gave this very, very impassioned monologue, really about how humanity is the best of what we can be. And they're on this path and they need help and they need guidance and they need these things. And literally, I'm like, that is what Star Trek is. Star Trek is the help and the guidance, because humanity is the best that we know of in the galaxy. Star Trek, I believe.
We're number one. We're number one.
U.S. go Earth, 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 Earth. Yeah.
U.S.E. U.S.E.
Yeah. But, I think that Star Trek shows us that a better future is possible, right? Like, it doesn't show us necessarily a better future. I mean, there's still a war and there's stuff, but it shows us that it's possible. I think that what we saw from Delenn and this one shows us that it's possible to show a future that's possible, right? Like, does that make sense? Okay. Without Star Trek, like Star Trek lets us see that possible future. Delenn lets us have Star Trek to see that possible future. I think that she, as much as I thought it was a selfish choice, I appreciated the ongoing theme of her sacrificing everything for what she believed was right and leaving the door open for the Grey Council to support it. I mean, we see stuff like that in Star Trek all the time, right? Where Picard says, to hell with Starfleet and their orders. We're going to go do this thing because it's the right thing to do. Also, we see where he's like, oh, we should totally do this thing, but there's the Prime Directive, so we're not going to. Which goes back to our point that not every Star Trek episode is a great Delta Star Trek episode. All of that to say, I think this had a great piece of Star Trek in it, but all in all, this was just a really good Babylon 5 episode with a little bit of a Star Trek-like message, a little bit in it. I'm going to go 2.5 deltas on this one. Where are you at on it?
So I kind of want to bounce off of what you were just saying about Star Trek and Babylon 5. If I could reword what you just said a little bit.
That'd probably be helpful.
Star Trek shows what humanity can be because it's already gotten there. Star Trek shows what humanity is when it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Babylon 5, I think, is showing, hey, we can get there, but we're not there yet. And I don't know that it's going to show us how we get there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like Star Trek is we've already gotten past all our crap. We've gotten past the need for the accumulation of wealth. We've gotten past, bigotry, although we haven't, because we still see examples of that.
Yeah.
And I would say mostly there's always exceptions to the rule, even within humanity and within Starfleet and over in Star Trek. But it shows it having already been achieved. And this is like, no, they're not there yet, but they have the capacity to get there. The end point is the same. It's just different places along the path. That being said, I give this one a 0.5 delta.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. And I think I need to go back and amend some of my other deltas, because Delenn gives this really impassioned speech, right? Which is just awesome. I loved listening to it. It was so good. But all that speech is a little bit of exposition at the end of her story for this particular episode.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't affect anything having to do with the episode. You know what I mean? It wasn't some bit of discovery throughout the episode, or it wasn't us seeing what that could be. It wasn't any of that. It was just hey, here's Delenn's story. Hey, here's Sinclair and Garibaldi's story. And at the end of Delenn's story, she's just having a conversation with a friend saying, this is what they can be. So It's really not that Star Trek-y of an episode to me. It has this awesome little speech, but that bit of exposition that doesn't really affect anything else in the episode does not a Delta give.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I like, because I really was gonna go, like, I heard that speech, like, this is a Star Trek episode now, and I was like, and the more I thought, I was like, no, it's really not.
I think you bring up a good point, and I'm feeling self-convicted a little bit, and I think that you got
drop
to this
it,
point
drop
before I
it,
did.
drop it, do it.
I'm not gonna drop it.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick to it. But what I'm gonna say, and especially as we move into future episodes, I think honestly, I want this to be Star Trek. You know what I mean? And so I think I'm actively looking for reasons. So I grabbed that monologue and I'm like, there it is.
Right.
There's the thing. But you're right. It's more than a moment. Like, to be a real Star Trek thing, and like a 5 Delta episode of Star Trek or Babylon 5 or Stargate or whatever, that's the point. You know, far beyond the stars. There's not a speech that happens. The entire episode is this piece. And I think
let that be your last battlefield.
Right? Yeah.
Is another one.
God,
you know,
so perfect. Balance of terror.
Yeah.
The
whole episode does that. Quality of Mercy, which I know Babylon 5 has an episode called that as well. But Strange New Worlds episode, Quality of Mercy. Same thing.
You actually just stole part of my joke for.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine because it fits. The audio people aren't going to hear that you steal my one, but the YouTube heard you steal my joke. So there's that.
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. It's the whole thing, and I'm going to start watching these episodes a little differently. I think you're exactly right.
Well, and I think I said, was it last week? Or maybe it was in Legacies. I don't know. One of those two where I said, I think this is a dividing line. This is where Babylon 5 is becoming Babylon 5 and not Star Trek. Like, Star Trek's off on its own deal. Babylon 5's off on its own deal. They're two. Babylon 5 has established itself. I want to say that was at the end of Legacies. I think so. Said it then.
Yeah.
And I think this is that continuation. Like, they're both hitting these similar themes. The similar idea of where the idea that we can be better in the future. Like, that's the idea. It's that Roddenberry vision of the future. It doesn't have to be Star Trek. It could be anything. We're better. We can be better than what we are. Humanity's got a lot of problems. I hope we can be better than what we are. This is what makes sci-fi so good. It really is. And it's why I don't like this is gritty. This is more real. It's like, that's not what I want for my sci-fi, to be frank with you.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see us being the best people we can be. And I don't need them all to have USA American flag patches on their arms. Let them have all the various countries around the world. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
And amazing, you know? So anyway, that's where I go with a half Delta. And yes, I would absolutely watch this one again. It was a great episode. It's good TV.
Yeah.
Good TV.
100%. Like I said, great episode of Babylon 5, like, for sure. And just good TV. Well, that's it. That's Babylon Squared. Next week, we are going to be watching, we play our games on this show. One of our favorite games is to guess what the next episode is going to be, based solely on the title alone. Next week, we're watching The Quality of Mercy for the first time. Brent, what do you think that's going to be about?
All right, so stop me if you've heard this one before.
Okay.
Submarine warfare.
Oh, okay.
You got one captain, you got the other captain. They're basically the same dude, but they're just on the other side of the line. And they develop a keen respect for each other, even though they've never really met each other or talked to each other. But I think it's going to be a riff on that.
So basically a riff on the greatest singular episode of Star Trek? Balance of Terror?
If you're saying Balance of Terror is the greatest episode of Star Trek in 800 and some odd episodes, you and I think so much more alike than I ever knew.
Really? Yeah. It is my number one Star Trek
It is
episode.
Absolutely my favorite. I don't know that I'd say it's my favorite episode of Star Trek, but it is my go-to. This is what Star Trek is.
Yeah. 100%. It's amazing. It's so good. And to riff on that, I think that this one is going to be where the future Admiral Pike tells Captain Pike not to send any letters to the... No, that's a Quality of Mercy, not the Quality of Mercy.
It? Oh, that's the difference. Oh, the little article there.
Totally different.
Totally different show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shows you how just important, knowing the English language is, and what a powerful, how powerful words can be. But no, for my guess, I'm going to throw a little bit of respect to one of our regular watchers and commenters on YouTube, Retro Robot Radio, who introduced a concept on both YouTube and on Twitter that he believes that every single one of our predictions should be that it's going to be a sequel to Believers. And I do. I think that something's going to happen, either extra.
This is the Great Egg people, right?
This is the Great Egg people.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think that Dr. Franklin is going to get a little comeuppance, and he is going to learn, we're going to learn through his comeuppance, the quality of mercy.
Does he get fired?
No, he's not going to get fired. He's on the DVD cover.
Yeah.
He's going to last. But I think he's going to get either be faced with some form of accountability or actually be like brought up on charges of some kind. And then he'll make some impassioned speech in front of an ombuds about something. But yeah, this is my sequel to Believers call.
I'm for it.
And we're going to find out. We're going to find out right here next week. Thank you so much for joining us. It means the world to us that you spend this time with us watching this incredible show. Go ahead, if you're watching us on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the bell. If you're listening to us on your podcast app, go in, leave us a rating and a review. And if you leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, screenshot it, send it to us tag us on Twitter at Babylon First, or email it to us at babylon5first@gmail.com. It's the number 5, the word first. You'll be entered in our big giveaway for our season 1 recap for that incredible Babylon 5 thing that David Wash put together for us.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. So, Brent, until next time.
Wait, Jeff.
What?
Okay, we forgot something. Seriously, I got to ask.
Okay.
Do you fasten and then zip, or zip and then fasten?
Yeah, I'm
Which kind of guy are you?
I'm not having this conversation.
I'm a fasten and zip guy.
Okay, great. Hey, live long and Zabagabi. And I'm a fasten and zip guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I should hit the button.
It's my first time.
Yes, we wouldn't want the YouTube people to know that the show hasn't already officially finished.
Ready? Yeah.
Wait, did I just talk over that? Like, do you actually replace the music in the podcast?
I replace it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
That's literally for our incredible viewers that are still with us right now.
To just say, hey guys, we're done with the episode. Speaking of which, hey guys, we're done with the episode. Thanks so much for joining us. If you've lasted this long, bless you. We know that several of you do, because you comment on stuff like this. See, here, if you've made it this far, in the comments below, I want you to drop the number 65.
65.
Yep, just drop. I just want to see how many 65s we get.
I'm just thinking, when the 65 start showing up, I hope I remember that you said that, and I'm going to be like, why is everybody saying 65? What?
That could be. Hey guys, listen, if you like this stuff, like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. We very much appreciate you. I do remember Jeff pleading with you guys earlier to go listen to the podcast feed and let him know, give him some feedback on that. And if you haven't submitted the review yet, make sure you do that. You got 3 weeks to do it, and we're gonna do that giveaway. And it's just sitting on my shelf right there until the time being. And maybe I'll mail it out, maybe not. I don't know. We'll find out.
We'll see.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.